126.76. ProGas in its third year, a 32-bike eliminator at the Spring Nationals. Runs against a 580 index, qualified that way, with the closest to the 580 being number one qualifier. Numbers on the screen are the qualifying position of your first round winners, who were Jim Smith, Butch Warwick, Sam Patton, Mike Phillips, Ronald Craig, Keith Crabtree, Dave Skaggs, Tom Sudman, Frank DeAries, Craig Massey, Jerry West, Randy Pullum, Ray Webb, Steve King, Mike Bianco, and Tom Dygan. ProGas quarterfinal winners were Smith with a 592, Patton with a 586, Phillips with a 598, Bianco with a 591, Webb with a 597, West with a 583, Sudman with a 585, Massey with a 599. ProGas semifinalists coming up. They were Sam Patton with a 591, Tom Sudman with a 583, Jerry West a shutdown 11:02, and Mike Bianco with a 597. ProGas finalists saw Mike Bianco of Stillwater, Kentucky meet Tom Sudman of St. Mary's, Ohio. It's a tree chopper, Tom Sudman, and he's the winner with a 579 against Mike Bianco's quicker 573. Spring National Super Gas Eliminator. Super Gas, a 16 by qualified field, heads up against a 645 index. Number one qualifier was Dan Brown of Miamisburg, Ohio, on a Suzuki. Quarterfinal action coming up. Brown ran young, and Brown your winner with a 655 against a 646. Second pass, Greg Sauer against Ray. It was Sauer your winner, a 647 against a quicker 648. Harris was your winner in the next pass against Paul Wilson, and Counts lost to Sheely with a 652 against a quicker 649. Semifinal action saw Brown win over Sauer and Sheely win over Harris. Comes your finals.
Left lane is 657, right lane is 673. That won't help.
Dan Brown in the near lane against Jeff Sheely in the far lane. And Sheely was the winner because of a quicker reaction time.
640 in the left lane, 648, I beg your pardon, 648.
Super Eliminator handicap racing at its very best. Semi-finalist action, Irby Finley against Todd Moore, Marcy Boyle against Steve Jacks. Your winners are Finley and Jacks. Setting it up for Irby Finley of Memphis, Tennessee to run Steve Jacks of Huntsville, Alabama in the Super Eliminator Finals. Your winner was Irby Finley with a 620 off a 614 standard at 109.89. Your runner-up, Steve Jacks, with a 577 off a 572 record at 120.96. Now to competition.
Scouts and explorers will demonstrate action-packed skills for fun and better living.
In the semifinals, it's Rick Gibson against Pete Hadson, Doug Hart against John Benz. And your winners are Benz and Hart, setting it up for a final run between Doug Hart of High Ridge, Missouri against John Benz of Carbondale, Illinois. Doug Hart on a Harley-Davidson, John Benz on a Kawasaki. And your final is Doug Hart, the winner, with a 658 at 110.07 against John Benz, 705 at 108.9. Pro Stock, most competitive, most exciting, the tightest. Jerry Myers, number one qualifier in Chardon, Ohio. Number two is Marty Blades, New Lebanon, Ohio. Dave Schultz, number three, Fort Myers. Number four, George Bryce, Americus, Georgia. Number five, Lester Jenkins. Number six, Pizza John Maffaro. Number seven, Steve Miles. Number eight, Couch of Charlie Gressman. Number 9, Lance Boyer. Number 10, Dick Speed Serwa. Number 11, Richard Smith. Number 12, David Sawyer. Number 13, Ed Dorman. Number 14, Stuart Hamby. Number 15, George Babor. And number 16, Terry Osmus. Number one qualifier, Jerry Myers, in round one. Won it with a 531, 131 miles an hour. He moved into round two to run Lester Jenkins. And it was Myers with a win again. 528, 130, 43 against Jenkins, 552. On the other side of the ladder, number 10 qualifier, Dick Speed Serwa, Chicago, Illinois, running against Marty Blades, number 2 qualifier. It was Marty the winner with a 5:37, 130.05.
578.
Pizza John Mafaro now against Stuart Hamby in the first round. Pizza John, number 6 qualifier. Stuart Hamby, number 14 qualifier. Pizza John on a Vance & Hines Suzuki. Making the tire molten, and at the finish line, Pizza John was your winner with a 5:42, 131.96 against Hamby's 5:54, 128.57 on his Cowie. Pizza John advanced in the next round to run Marty Blades. And Blades was your winner with a 5:36. Steve Miles now, Louisville, Kentucky, number 7 qualifier, running George Babor. Miles lost it with a 5:49 against Babor's 5:47. Babor a surprise entry, a Sunday morning qualifier. Charlie Gressman now, the number 8 qualifier against Terry Osmus in round 1 action. Terry, number 16 qualifier. And Gressman, your winner. A 5:38 on that Suzuki against Osmus's 6 flat on the cow. George Bryce, number 4 qualifier against David Sawyer. This is George Bryce's first year in pro stock. Against Sawyer, it's Bryce, the winner. Sawyer's losing time of 5:42, 131.19. Quarterfinal action, George Bryce and Charlie Gressman. It's Bryce, the winner, of 5:38 against Gressman's 5:44. Semi-final action, Jerry Myers against George Babor, and Myers drew a red light at a 5:31 at 130.05 against Babor's easy Sunday afternoon ride of a 5:60 at 128.57. Other semi-final action saw Blades against Bryce, and it was Marty Blades the winner with a 5:40, 129.68, because he cut a quicker light than George Bryce, who turned a 5:39, 128.02. Final run, George Babor versus Marty Blades. Babor, number 15 qualifier, Blades, number 2 qualifier. The odds say Blades, but it was Babor cutting a terrific light at a 5:44, 130.05 to win against Marty Blades 5:82, 125.82. Pro Comp Eliminator at the Spring Nationals came down like this. In qualifying, Jim Dodich, Orlando, Florida, was number 1 qualifier on his Cycle Tech Kawasaki. He qualified number 1 with a 5:07.2. Number 2 qualifier was Neil Lane of Florence, South Carolina. Number 3, Willie Foster. Number 4, Bob Spina. Then Steve Drake. Number 6, Floyd Huntz. Number 7, Jim Cooper. And number 8, the 8-bike ladder, John Sachs Jr. First pair in the first round, Jim Dodich of Orlando, Florida, Steve Drake of Xenia, Ohio on his Suzuki. Drake is number 5 qualifier. Dodich, as you know, is number 1. It's Drake first off the line. And at the finish, it is Drake the winner with a 5:18 against a quicker 5:03 for Jim Dodich. Number 1 qualifier already out. Now Willie Foster, number 3 qualifier against Jim Cooper, number 7 qualifier. Foster first off the line by a hair. And at the finish, it's Foster, a 5:14 against Cooper's 5:46. Third pass in the first round of Pro Comp. Floyd Hunts, a dual-engine Kawasaki two-stroke machine against Neil Lane. Theory says Lane. Qualifying position says Lane. And the clock say Lane with a 5:04 against Floyd Hunts' 5:61. Bob Spina, Harley Davidson. Number 4 qualifier. The fans like the Harleys. He's running John Sachs, number 8 qualifier. Hear that Harley pop. Almost an even leave. And the Harley's going to be the winner. Bob Spina, a 5:10 against John Sachs Jr.'s 5:25. Semifinal action, Drake against Foster and Lane against Spina. Spina drew a red light to give the win to Lane, and Foster just flat won it with a 5:11 to the 5:22. Now your Pro Comp finals. You got Willie Foster of Pompano Beach, Florida, and Neil Lane of Florence, South Carolina. Willie Foster won it at a 5:15 against Neil Lane's shutdown broke run of a 13:52. Spring Nationals funny bike, a strong 8-bike field with plenty of good alternates. Number 1 qualifier Bobby Baker, Bishopville, South Carolina. Gary Falta, Cincinnati, Ohio. Mark Miller, Kissimmee, Florida. Steve Tracy, Evansville, Indiana. Keith Lynn, Wabash, Indiana. John Baugh, Freeport, New York. Dennis Strickland, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. John Sands, Columbia, South Carolina. In the first round of funny bike competition, Bobby Baker is to meet Don Raybuck. Keith Lynn should have been the qualifier number 5 who would have met Bobby, but Keith's bike was broke, and so was number 1 alternate Charles Israel. So Don Raybuck, number 2 alternate, showed up against Bobby Baker and was defeated by Baker. Second pass in funny bike, Mark Miller up against Dennis Strickland. Mark, the number 3 qualifier, is from Kissimmee, Florida, and is sponsored by the BML Racing Team. It's a Bill Hahn Products designed and engineered bike and tuned by Bill Hahn. Dennis Strickland from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, sponsored by JD Racing and Country Harley Davidson, as well as Star Racing. Mark Miller, Dennis Strickland, both trying to get the top of the turbo boost. Goosing those turbos, and it's Mark Miller's win, 492 against a 504. First rider in the next pair is Gary Falta, the number 2 qualifier, Cincinnati, Ohio, a GP Kawasaki owned by Andy Espy. He's running John Baugh, the number 6 qualifier of Freeport, New York, an Orient Express Suzuki. On the run. Staging carefully. Both turbo boosted bikes. Now they're winding them up. Falta, too eager, draws a red light. It's Baugh's run with a shutdown 7:20 at 62:54 against Falta's 6:47 at 69:55. Now Steve Tracy, the number 4 qualifier from Evansville, Indiana, on a Suzuki. Running the number 8 qualifier, John Sands of Columbia, South Carolina, on a Honda. Sponsored by John Sands Racing, and Tracy loses fire. Now here's the situation. John Sands has already done his chirp. He's already done his burnout. Tracy has lost fire. That means that under the IDBA burn down rule, Tracy has 15 seconds to fire the bike and bring it to the line, or the starter has the option to start the tree. The rider, John Sands, also has the option to back up and give Tracy more time, but he doesn't have to do it, and he doesn't do it, so it's going to be a solo pass for John Sands. 5:30 at 140.84. Semifinalists coming up. They were Bobby Baker against Mark Miller and John Baugh against John Sands. It turned out to be Baker's run and John Baugh's run. So your finalists are Bobby Baker of Bishopville, South Carolina against John Baugh of Freeport, New York. One Kawasaki against one Suzuki. And John Baugh is your winner. The Suzuki made it with a 486, 151.51 to Baker's runner-up 481 at 154.90. For more information about the Spring Nationals or all of the 8-race 1986 series for the International Drag Bike Association, simply call IDBA at 205-849-7886, or you may write IDBA 3936 Raceway Park Road, Mount Olive, Alabama 35117. That phone number, 205-849-7886.
Gates will open tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Also, I'd like to